truth is that we all pretend at one point. Maybe not all of us, but most of us pretend and we pretend and we pretend. Why do we pretend? We pretend to be somebody who we are not. We pretend to like something when we don't like it. We pretend to be satisfied with something when we are not satisfied. We pretend to have a certain impression on certain something and we don't. We pretend a lot for the following reasons. We pretend for the fear of rejection. We pretend for seeking approval. We pretend to feel that we belong. We pretend to fit in the workplace. We pretend to avoid pressure. We pretend because sometimes we have low self-esteem. We pretend because we have self-doubt. We pretend because simply it has become a habit for us to fit in, to mold. It's become a habit. We pretend because past experiences tell us if we don't pretend, if we don't fit well in our environment, we will be punished. So it's always going to be your brain that is designed for either fight or flight. It's helping you to survive, basically. But we continue to pretend. Sometimes we just want to seek validations. It's my time for that annual review. How do you think I did? Part of pretending is inherently embedded in us since a very, very young age. And that becomes part of our identity. And it resides in the very subconscious. And sometimes to change that, that becomes a big challenge. Sometimes we pretend for lack of clarity about who we truly are. You get the idea. You pretend, I pretend, we all pretend most of the time to fit, to survive another day. In this episode, I will share with you the scientific facts and the psychology aspects of why we pretend. So when you understand that, understand the science, understand the psychology, you could, as a matter of fact, become an authentic person. You can become more yourself. If you want to become more authentic, whether you're trying to build your own business or whether you want to truly start finding something that resonates with who you are, studying something, going to college, going to university, or simply finding a job that is simply a good fit for you. If you want to be more authentic, then you have to listen to this episode all the way to the end. Save it, like it, share it, and follow this podcast. Salam. This is Jamal Nassar, your host with the Empowerment Code podcast. And the title of this episode is Drop the Act. Become authentic. Do you know what's the worst part of it? The worst part is we spend so much energy pretending to be somebody we're not. It takes a lot of energy. It literally consumes you when you're trying to be somebody else. That's why so many people feel exhausted after meetings, presentations, or a long day of social gatherings. The body pays the price of sustained pretending. With increased cortisol, shallow breathing throughout the day, anxiety becomes part of your day because you're wondering, how good am I pretending? Am I pretending good enough? Am I not being myself good enough? And then you fear not fitting in. You fear looking stupid. You fear looking silly. And what happens next is you pay the price with the energy, the fatigue, the anxiety, the stress. One of the reasons that this starts is our thinking that we need to impress somebody. I need to impress my colleague. I need to impress the girl next to me. I need to impress my new friends. That, or my new boss, or my new colleagues. That need to impress put us in these situations to start with. Now remember, this only exists in your mind. It doesn't exist in reality. You think you need to meet these expectations. You think you need to impress that person or that group. But in reality, you really don't know what they expect of you. Do you? Anyways, you do it, you pretend, and you become so good at it. And then the other person is impressed. Your new boss is impressed. Your new colleague is impressed. The lady you want to impress is impressed. And the boy you want to impress is impressed. What happened is your brain gives you a little reward of some dopamine that gives your brain a little boost. All right, good job, well done. And you feel better about yourself. That's how it starts. And that's how it ends. So your brain is telling you, well done, here's your reward. Now you belong. Now you are safe. So now the sense of fitting and the sense of belonging and the sense of safety becomes addictive. And we continue to perform and we become performers. Think of it. We just performers. You're performing. Most of your day, you are just performing. Now, I'm not talking about everybody. I said all of us, yes. But it could be all of us sometimes or some of us most of the time. And sometimes we pretend to be something for the reason of not to hurt somebody. That may be a good pretending. It depends on the situation. It depends on the level of the emotions. It depends on something. But to accommodate someone's feelings or not to hurt someone, that's some type of pretending. So we need to distinguish in the beginning what are the type of pretendings and which one should we absolutely not fall into the trap of pretending. According to behavioral psychologists, there is 6 classifications of pretending. So the first one is protective pretending. Second is promotional pretending. And then there is affiliative pretending and pro-social pretending and defensive pretending and instrumental pretending. 6 types. Now you know them. You can do a little bit of research into which one that is your weak spot, which one you tend to fall into, and then from there you raise your awareness, and I will share with you shortly how you can tackle them. So for example, if you have low self-esteem or low self-confidence, you will see yourself mostly doing more of the protective pretending and promotional pretending. The protective pretending helps you to avoid rejection or criticism. Promotional, on the other hand, it helps you to appear competent, attractive, or successful. If you're in politics, or you like politics, or you work in a toxic environment, for example, you'd be doing lots of affiliative pretending, which is to gain a social acceptance or to fit into a certain type of group. And defensive pretending might also be in the same category, is to hide a vulnerability, a pain, or insecurity. In a highly political environment, you surely want to do some defensive pretending. And in the corporate world, most folks would be probably into instrumental pretending, and that is to achieve personal or professional advantage over others. If you are high on empathy, on the other hand, you may be more on the pro-social pretending, which is pretending to protect someone's feeling or to maintain harmony. This could be very useful in diplomacy and also in dealing with vulnerable ones, in vulnerable situations. Now you ask me, okay, Jamal, now what's the next step? The next step is to identify the ways and the means and the frameworks and the tools to help us become more effective, to help you become more effective, my dear listener. Are you ready? Here we go. There are 9 ways I will share with you that will help you become more authentic. The first one is simply acceptance. This may be the most powerful thing that you can practice and apply today without the need to invest time or resources or even change yourself. It starts with you accepting yourself for who you are. This may be very difficult for lots of people. Accepting yourself is the first step to living a healthy life, to being your true self, to becoming authentic, regardless of your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities, your history, your past failures. You must confront yourself, you must sit with yourself, and you must accept yourself. Not for what you did, but for who you are. Make a distinction of your actions and you as the person. The human is worth accepting. You are worth it. you are enough no matter what. Skills you can gain. Knowledge you can learn. Past mistakes, hey, forget about that. You can forget that, but you can learn from it and become better at certain things. That's okay. So you look at yourself today, address yourself as a person, accept yourself totally and unconditionally. That is the first step. If you don't do the rest, if you don't do this step, if you don't apply this step, the rest is pretty much meaningless. So you want to probably pause here a little bit, think with yourself, get a pen and paper and say, how can I accept myself? What do I need to do to accept myself? It's a conversation you need to have with you, because you're probably not accepting yourself for things that already has happened in the past, and you need to come in peace with that. So a little reflection, a little meditation, and a little of self-talk, positive self-talk. That's where it starts. Number 2 is observe your mask. When do you put a mask? Now start today for a whole week. Monitor yourself. Raise that awareness, thermometer or barometer or whatever you call it. Watch yourself with attention. When do you shift your tone? When do you shift your posture? When you become somebody else? It could be part of your character, but try to notice how you act in different situations and which one is not really aligned with who you are, and then you pay attention to that. What happens there? What drives you or what drove you to put on that mask? Now, it may be worth it to note that the brain mirrors other people. We mirror, the neurons mirror each other in social situation. That's why you find yourself doing a certain move when the person in front of you is doing the same move, whether they're itching their nose or sometimes sneezing or crossing their legs. That is mirroring, and it's part of our social behavior. So that part is normal, and that happens at the subconscious level. So you need to distinguish between this social behavior and between you being somebody who you're really not. Number 3 is your core values. Do you know what you stand for? Most of us, we do, but we need to think about it. So you need to identify your core values. And again, bring that paper and pen and write down now your 3 top key values, your core values that makes you who you are. Pause this, write the 3 values. Now that you have written your values, you need to know why you did that, because values anchor your identity. They are embedded in your prefrontal cortex in the brain. When the brain thinks, when it helps you to take decisions, it takes account into these values, the parts that are responsible for decision making and moral reasoning. Always acting from clear values strengthen your internal consistency, and it will reduce your anxiety. And number 4 is watching when you say yes, but you actually want to say no. So starting from today, I would like you to track down, take a note with you, keep a note with you, or even record it on your phone, how many times this week you have said yes to something, but you actually wanted to say no, out of pressure or out of just feeling obligated, or you're simply used to say yes. And I'd like you to track every forced yes during the day, task meetings or social events, replace one of them daily with a polite no. And the reason is, each false yes will trigger your stress hormones because your actions and beliefs are in conflict. You want to do something, but you're saying something else. This instantly creates an internal conflict, and internal conflicts will raise your level of cortisol. And you know what that means? If you've been listening to my other series of podcasts, it means you have already elevated levels of cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. And you know what kills brain cells the most? The number 1 killer of brain cells? Yes, it is stress. So you need to really learn how to politely decline. Politely decline and say, thank you for the opportunity, but I'm not able to do that today. And my favorite is practicing micro actions. I would like you to apply micro authenticity to your day. What does that mean? Start with simple, honest, small decisions. And in these decisions, you want to affirm yourself, you want to be yourself, and you want to become consistent. Consistency will help you align who you are, align your values, align what you want to do with what you say. So this way, cortisol does not hijack your system. How can you do that? I'll give you an example. So before you go out, say you're going to a classroom, or you're going to meet some friends, or you're going to a social event, meeting people for the first time. Yeah? Let's say it's a business event or a conference. Start with the intention to say no, to say, I will today say I don't know. I will admit I'm not good at something. And I will not say yes to everything. Now, why does this matter? Because these small, authentic actions that you will be doing with intention will help you train and retrain your nervous system to tolerate vulnerability. And this is part of your acceptance journey. You're becoming a little bit vulnerable. But again, on a micro level, on small things that really don't matter that much. No, thank you, I don't want that drink. No, I actually don't know the answer to that question. Or I would love to come with you, but I don't feel like it. I'd like to go home and rest. So each act lowers your brain's threat response and builds the muscle for larger authenticity later. Every big journey starts small. Remember that. So start with micro actions. Start practicing with your close friends. Those are the ones who will accept you, perhaps. Try to accept your imperfections. So we start with acceptance today, and we will end with acceptance as one of the tools and actions you can do to become more authentic. Replace I need to fix myself with I'm learning myself. I'm accepting myself. You're doing reframing. The moment you apply reframing, your brain instantly will shift to I'm learning, from I need to fix myself to I'm learning myself. When you say I'm learning myself, you try to say it out loud. I'm learning myself. I'm accepting myself. Your brain will accept that. Perfectionism keeps the stress system in chronic alert mode. Perfectionism drives stress so high and it affects your health. So self-acceptance calms the system and allows you to grow from a very good foundation, from a very good place, not from fear, not from stress. So finally, my dear friend, my dear brother and sister, you're listening to this. There's a reason that you're here. Your journey to self-mastery, your journey to self-development, your journey to growth in any aspect of your life will only start the moment you accept yourself. Thank you for tuning in. Do share this series, this podcast, with those you think who will benefit from it. Stay healthy and take care of yourself. Always accept who you are. This is Jamal Nassar, your host with the Empowerment Code podcast.
This is the Empowerment Code by Dr. Jamal Nassar.